Mountain Valley Pipeline and environmental groups from across the country have spent years in court. Huntington City Council will hear the first reading of an ordinance related to a project that the Water Quality Board director says has to happen now for the safety of the community and employees and to make way for development. People who live in this community took it upon themselves to put up signs warning anyone who drives across this bridge that they could be in danger. We were out here with crews earlier today in the area of 47th Street in Kanawha City, and you can still see some of the work that they were doing today. They call it milling and patching, and they're trying to get the most work done that they can before the asphalt plants shut down for the winter. Investigators with the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office were here on scene throughout the day. They spent the afternoon looking for clues that might help them piece together what exactly happened at this house in Eleanor. Neighbors reported hearing what sounded like an explosion before looking. Earlier today, I spoke to Corporal Gano's great-great-nephew, Morgan Sheets. He outlined the family's decades-long mission to bring his remains home. It's a problem many people in the area have been facing all summer long. Mother Nature damaging their property. This weekend, high water caused problems in the Big Ugly community. Most of us know it's important to eat a good balanced diet full of healthy fruits and vegetables. But for people in some communities, there's nowhere to buy those things. As of this morning, Women and Children's Hospital had 19 pediatric patients with RSV and an additional 5 pediatric patients with the flu. Right.
Because I thought that I could go on the outside of the line to account for that 1/8 of an inch that I'm going to be missing anyway. Right. See, this one is right on the 2. Yep. And there is no line. So
that means you cut it off, right?
Right.
As fast-moving muddy flood water ravaged Gilbert Creek for hours, people came out to start trying to clean up. Some waited in their vehicles to get through. Others started walking. That's how we met Bradley Rawls. He was walking in to get his 2-year-old daughter.
Well, I'm going to get my baby right now. I dropped her off at the babysitter about 9:30 this morning.
Over the next few hours, while he was at work, conditions turned dangerous. Bradley's daughter, Sadie, was on the other side of the water.
Pretty stressful, though.
Thinking about how you're going to...
Oh, yeah, how we're going to get her, because we thought about having to go through the mountains and with a 4-wheeler and a trail and stuff like that. Just trying to get her.
Not only is the water across the main road in several places, you can see this rushing water is taking out bridges up and down Gilbert Creek.
Oh, it's rushing. Real loud rushing water. Oh yeah, I've seen bridges come down, I've seen garbage bins, I've seen toys.
Amid the chaos, people worked together, trying to save what could be saved and helping keep things from getting worse in whatever way they could.
We sitting on the porch and we're praying for it to quit, because these people on up the creek is worse off than we are.
Even though the impact of the flooding will be around for a while, people were grateful the rain let up when it did. And as we were leaving, we spotted a very happy dad smiling with his little girl safely in his arms. How does it feel to have her back?
Oh, finally. Yeah, good. So I thought you stressed Daddy and everybody out today.
In Gilbert Creek. That's sweetie. I'm Nicky Walters, 13 News.
It feels really good that we're helping people.
Carly Bartley and her family spent the day cleaning up the mess that Mother Nature left behind. But not at their own house, at the home of their neighbor, Lou Hamilton. Lou shares this home with her brother, William. He's bedridden, so early this morning as the water was coming up, a rescue team came in to move him to safety. Now the race is on to get him back home.
It's good. It's good to see a neighborhood pitching in like they are. And, you know, we know that her brother needs to get home this season. So that's our goal, is to get him a room ready, get him back up here, then we can work in around it.
Lou's home is filled with mud and water right now. Everyone working as fast as they can, helping out like neighbors do.
We're helping her because she's our neighbor.
Like, she was in need and she was just working all by herself, so it feels just good to help her to get her house back in the right shape.
To Lou, they are angels, making a heavy job a little lighter.
Well, just about be probably a week, but we need to get our brother back.
May their souls, through the mercy of God, rest in peace.
Prayer comforts the people left behind to grieve the ones they couldn't save.
Allison Proctor, Andrew and Higginbotham.
50 names of people who died without a home or while in the process of getting back on their feet. People you may have seen around town but never really knew.
Josephine Griffin, Kevin Peel.
But each name, each loss, cuts deep for the ones who spend their lives reaching out a helping hand and the ones who've walked in their shoes.
It could be me that one of them had passed away. But God looked down on me and He waked me up for another day.
He wanted to conceal his identity for fear that his family would know his truth. But Mr. W is 73 years old, living on the streets. His apartment was condemned and he has struggled to find another place to rent. Rest is hard to come by.
And like being a lamb, laying down to sleep, and the wolves is waiting on you. And as soon as they see the lamb is laying down, that's when they swoop in on you, and they devour you, and there's nothing you can do because you don't have any help around you to protect you.
But there is one place Mr. W goes during the day where he does feel safe. I met him and others with stories to tell while spending a morning at Man-A-Meal. I spent hours there watching the team prepare to serve lunch to well over 200 people. They serve breakfast too. Earl Turner is getting ready for the next morning.
I think about me every time I like cereal. So I think about me when I'm fixing the cereal. I think about me when I'm passing out lunches and so forth.
He came here to eat one day when he needed help. It led to a job he's passionate about.
If you haven't been in the situation where you're hungry and you don't know when your next meal is coming from, and it's difficult to function, not physically, but mentally and emotionally. It's hard to function when you're hungry.
Even though people come here for a variety of reasons, they go out of their way to meet them where they are.
I've come up here hungry physically, but I leave full, not necessarily because of the food, but because of the kind word someone said to me, because they smiled at me when I needed a smile. Somebody pat me on the back or said hello when everyone else had been mean to me, and you needed that kind word.
People aren't nice all the time, right? And if you don't understand a situation or you're fed up with the situation, people tend to sometimes not be as nice. And so the one place that I have any control over is right here, and that's what is second to our mission, to feed the hungry, but it's to feed them with dignity and respect. All right, do you need anything else?
Amy Wolf is the executive director at Man-A-Meal. She and others who work here take time to really know people like Earl and Mr. W, thinking about them long after the workday is done.
You know, they're people. They're not a name, it's not a number. They have a story just like you or I do. They have people that love them. They have people that they love. They have gifts, talents, things to give the world. People that just are experiencing homelessness, that shouldn't define them.
Feeding the hungry is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle when it comes to homelessness in the Kanawha Valley.
It's not a simple issue, which means it doesn't have a simple solution.
St. John's Episcopal Church.
Tracy Strickland is the director of the Kanawha Valley Collective, the group that brings the pieces together. She led the memorial service. Even she was shocked to see the number of people who passed away climb from a previous high of 28.
You know, this year we had an individual who wasn't in the area, had recently left the area and was robbed and beaten to death in another city. This year we had an individual who passed away in a house fire. You know, we had individuals who passed away from, long-standing illnesses. We had an individual who passed away from cancer who had apparently been living with cancer for a period of time and didn't know it until she entered a permanent supportive housing program and they helped her access health care.
She says when she took the job, she never realized how controversial and divisive helping the homeless would be.
I've been surprised at the amount of negativity that's targeted towards individuals experiencing homelessness. You know, I've been surprised that it's been an issue in our elections.
In recent years, some individuals and business owners have been outspoken about their frustrations when it comes to problems blamed on the homeless in general. Strickland says often the entire population is falsely perceived as criminals. She also points out that people with mental illness or substance use disorder only make up a segment of the population they serve.
Othering, I think is what. I think that's what a lot of people do. I think it's what's happened in politics. I think it's what's added to the stigma is you're othering people. It's, you know, you're dehumanizing people.
As the Kanawha Valley Collective and groups like Man-A-Meal continue to look for more solutions and ways to do better, people like Mr. W are hoping for a day when they can leave the label of homeless and the stigma attached to it in the past.
I want to be able to move ahead, quit looking back. I want to be able to say, stand up for myself one day and they said, this is who I am, what I am, where I'm going, this is what I'm gonna do.
In Charleston, I'm Nicky Walters, 13 News.
It was scary. I thought I was gone because I was real cold when I woke up. I thought I was gone. Yeah, it was bad.
Amber Plants thought she had her heroin addiction under control until she overdosed. Narcan brought her back. She remembers seeing her mom and grandmother in the room when she came to.
It was this scared, mad, worry. I mean, it was just, I've never seen a look like that on my mother's face. And I will do anything I can to make sure that never happens again.
The overdose happened July 10th of this year. Within hours, the Huntington Quick Response Team was at her door. Sue Howland, a peer support specialist, was the one whose words broke through.
She was like, well, have you ever been to one before? And I was like, yeah. She said, do you think maybe you might need a refresher course? That was the absolute moment when I was like, you might be right.
Within hours, Amber was on her way to a recovery center.
I told him I would have went with him that day, but my dad wasn't home from work yet, and I kind of wanted to give him a hug and say bye. And then the very next morning, they showed up and we was out.
Oh my gosh, you look like $1 billion.
I feel it. I feel it.
Our visit was the first time Sue and the team had reconnected with her in person, clean and happy.
It is motivational, it is refreshing, it is rewarding.
The Huntington Quick Response Team, or QRT, launched toward the end of 2017 to address an alarming number of overdoses in Cabell County. By the end of 2018, they noted a 40% reduction in the number of overdose calls. Now, they are a mentor site for other cities across the country, hoping to implement similar strategies. They saw a slight increase in overdoses during the pandemic, but by 2022, started to see the lowest number they'd had in years.
I think using first responders in a way that they're already out there, they already know individuals. Let's use them and do some good, and I think that's where the future is. I really do believe that.
I spent an afternoon with the team to see how it works. They load the vehicle, a clipboard in hand with notes from the overdose calls from the day before.
If you guys want to hang back a little bit.
On the first stop, the person they are hoping to follow up with isn't there.
When we initially knock on a door, if someone answers, we always let them know who we are. We're the Huntington Quick Response Team, and you are not in trouble. I've never came across someone that doesn't warmly welcome us. Most people are super grateful that we have been there to see them. They, most of the time, are really surprised that we are.
The person they couldn't find at this address will be put on a list to follow up later. On to the next location.
This is a 39-year-old male. He also went to the hospital afterwards, stating at least to EMS that he was wanting help.
Team leader Whitney Maxey is also an EMT with Cabell County EMS.
Me personally, I believe, and I think everybody else does too, half of the battle, more than half of the battle, is trust and rapport with people. Like, we build friendships with these people. It's not always just, hey, we're here to help, get in the car. It's definitely staying in contact.
The team of 4 exit the car and walk into an apartment complex. The overdose was a wake-up call for the man they are visiting. They'll connect him with outpatient options.
He's going to give us a call once he kind of gets his stuff settled right here. Inpatient we offered to him, and that doesn't suit him because he can't make a living going somewhere for weeks at a time.
For someone in crisis, kind and understanding words from someone who's been there can be all of the difference when it comes to staying where they are or getting better. In Charleston, there's a coordinated addiction response effort, or CARE team. Their work is similar to what they do in Huntington. They recognized a need to add a mental health coordinator to their team to address the problem at the root of many other issues that end up leading to police and emergency calls.
You know, the jail staff are not mental health providers. They'll tell you that themselves. We do work, you know, with our local jail, and jail is not a good place for anybody.
They say the biggest challenge right now with the work they do isn't what you might think.
Access to treatment is just not there. We don't have the facilities, and and I don't think that's just a statewide thing. I think that's a nationwide thing. There just aren't enough beds. There aren't enough facilities here for the people to get the help they need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much.
Back in Huntington, Amber is grateful that Sue, Whitney, and other members of the quick response team were there in her darkest hour.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm so proud of you.
Now her light and hope radiate in a way that spreads warmth to anyone around. Streamers still hang on her porch from the celebration when she came home clean and sober. Those posters are treasures, a symbol of the better life ahead. A journey that started when a group of strangers stopped by to say they care. What do you see on your mom and your grandma's face now that's different from?
Just pride. So much pride and non-stop smiling. And I can't get enough of it. I really can't.
In Huntington, I'm Nicky Walters, 13 News.